Hey everyone. You hear all the time that people say, if you want to work through your trauma or start healing, that you have to let go of the past. And it's so hard, isn't it? Well, I have some tips for you. Stay tuned. I think of our past like I think of going to baggage claim at an airport terminal. Airport? Airport. Where every one of us has our own little conveyor belt carousel that goes around and around. And it's got all sorts of luggage on there, right? Our own luggage. Big pieces, small pieces, backpacks, purses, whatever it is. And in each of our pieces of luggage are experiences that have stayed with us. They're things that are weighing down the baggage claim area in each of us. That's how I am visualizing this. And when you take a piece of luggage, remove it from the carousel, you're lightening the load. And I think that we all need to do that. Easier said than done. People say all the time, you got to let go of things because, you know, you react a certain way, you behave a certain way, you're triggered by something that someone said or did. And it's just, it feels like this cycle of something that you can't get out of. So those pieces of luggage usually are the big ones, right? Because it's hard to get through those pieces. And so it's about unpacking your luggage. So when you know through self reflection and maybe assessing your life, you might think, oh, this is why I'm this way. Let me see. This is why I react this way all the time, right? So but it's so funny that even though they're predicated on something that was not a good experience in the past, usually that's why it's still so traumatic and has stayed with you, you still hold on to it, right? Because you can't let go of it for some reason. And I think it's the fear of really letting go, because we're afraid. We identify so much with our identity in our past, our upbringing, our childhood, our relationships, our work, our job, our school, whatever. And so all those experiences, that's the composite of you, right? So you don't want to necessarily let go. And it's funny because we say to ourselves that we want to let go, we want to change, we want to feel lighter. We don't want to keep reacting the same way, even though it's no longer happening. But why are we reacting that way still? And so we try to work through it, but it's very difficult. And I think that one of the things of unpacking is it's hard to look at ourselves. It's so easy for us to say, look what that person did. Oh, look how that person's behaving. But then you think about, well, what are you doing? Right? Are you stamping your feet like that person is and carrying on, like a child and, you know, behaving erratically? And then you might think, oh, wait, maybe I am reacting the same way. Well, not exactly, but, you're doing the same things, right? You're not reacting in a positive way. And so that's why that piece of luggage is still on your carousel. You haven't claimed it yet. So the first thing is to reassess and to realize that there is an issue. There is something that's triggering you. Why did that trigger you? You look back and you usually know deep down, maybe subconsciously, what it was, but it's not easy because it definitely not trivializing anybody's experiences because they could be just awful. But those things, have actually made you who you are today. You have become stronger. You maybe have a different mission in your life because you've gone through something and you want to help others. Whatever it is that the takeaway is, there's always some kind of light from it. There's always some kind of positive. It doesn't mean that it doesn't excuse anybody for being, a mean person, a bad person. No, it doesn't mean that. It just means that you want to make sure that you're doing the best thing for yourself, right? Because that's what we want. We all want that. We all want to feel lighter. And in order to feel lighter, you have to get rid of the luggage pieces on your carousel. So when you unpack, that's part of the journey. It's never going to be okay. Now everything's all done. Everything's okay. There still could be little remnants, you know, there could be a little tiny bobby pin in one of those, you know, suitcases that you haven't removed yet. But that's really just so, it's so big. It's a huge step in the right direction. And then once you do that, you may find that it becomes easier to do that in so many other things. You know, you forgive people, you're more compassionate with people, and then you are more compassionate and forgiving of yourself. People say that all the time, and you always think, how, what do I need to forgive myself for? They're the person, they're the ones that did this to me, you know. But when you say it that way, do you notice that it actually makes you feel more agitated? It doesn't make you feel positive. But when you say to yourself, that happened, that person did that, and today, where am I? What am I doing now? What am I doing with my life? Am I reacting fairly to things, to people around me? Because the situation is different. You know, you want to be mature about and grow from everything that has happened to you. So that is why I feel like the baggage claim area is such a great way to visualize how to lighten your load and start unpacking. And I think it's going to be a process, but it really is true. Once you do it and you can truly forgive someone who could have done like the worst thing in the world in your life, it's interesting. You don't have to go to that person. You don't have to face them directly. You don't have to personally say, I forgive you. But it could just come from right here. You can just say, okay, that happened. Now I'm okay. Look who I am today. Look what I can do today. And so I'm looking forward to my tomorrow. I'm looking forward to my future and being in the present, because I'm no longer in that situation. So I don't need to be like that anymore. I don't need to react in an erratic way or negative way. You know, I can mature from that. So we can all hope, you know, that we're all evolving, right? So good luck. And I hope this was helpful. And good luck with your unpacking.